Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? It's been a great start to the free agency period already, and it technically hasn't even started. We're still in the middle of the tampering period right now, but that's all right. We've had lots of breaking news and lots of things to discuss about how it's going to affect our upcoming season for fantasy football purposes. And we had a couple of signings that were a little bit later last night that popped up that are still going to be fantasy relevant, not necessarily for these players, but for the guys around them. So I wanted to make sure I took a few minutes to do a video and talk about Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Jameis Winston headed back to Nolans, 1 year, base salary of $5.5 million, up to $12 million with incentives. So let me throw up that Lee Corso gif real quick where he goes, "Not so fast," like he always does on College Game Day. Because for those that thought Taysom Hill was running away with the job, maybe not so much now. I mean, if they're giving Jameis Winston that type of incentives, then they're basically telling him, you got an opportunity, Jameis. You have got an opportunity to win the job this season. I mean, if he didn't, they wouldn't give him a whole bunch of incentives. It'd be more of just a base contract with maybe a few incentives thrown in there. But we're talking $8 million more in incentives, which seems like a little bit, but that's okay. It's because Winston has an opportunity to win the starting job, and I really, really hope he does. Taysom Hill got a short stint as the starter last season. There was some good, there was some okay, and there was some okay. In the 4 games that he started, in 3 of them, he threw for over 200 yards. But 2 of those were against an Atlanta team that really, for a majority of the season, were okay at best at defense. Okay, they weren't really stopping a whole lot of anybody at times last season. His biggest game probably coming against Philadelphia, threw for 291 yards and a couple of touchdowns, but they were down the entire time. He had 38 pass attempts. I don't know if we want Taysom Hill completing 38 passes during that time frame. So the biggest question is who is affected most by this? Well, honestly, Mike Thomas last year, if we look at him first, during this stretch of games where Taysom Hill was starting, Thomas wasn't too bad. But the problem is he lost all of his upside. I mean, that's an issue. He lost all of his upside. We can't have that. For a wide receiver that a lot of people are expecting, maybe to take that bounce back. I mean, during that span, he had over 100 yards in 2 of the 4 games. He had 104, 50, 105, and 84 during that time. But he had no touchdowns. It was all about volume. Get the ball to him, get the ball to him, get the ball to him. But if you're seeing that much volume, man, you got to give me a touchdown. Michael Thomas loses some of that touchdown ability because of how much Taysom Hill keeps the ball on the ground. And that's an issue inside the red zone because Michael Thomas isn't going to get a whole lot of red zone looks. Neither is Alvin Kamara. Neither is Michael Troutman. If you think, he's going to be a good tight end. None of these guys are getting a whole lot of looks in the red zone because Taysom Hill's keeping the ball. Alvin Kamara during this time frame is probably the one that we're the most concerned about. On the ground during that time frame in which Taysom Hill was the starter, he ran for 45, 54, 88, and 50 yards. He did have 3 rushing touchdowns during that time. So, good news there. But let's take a look at his receiving. 1 for -2 yards. 0 for 0 yards. 2 for 9. Finally, against Philadelphia, like I said, when they were down the entire time, 7 receptions for 44 yards. Alvin Kamara's receiving upside completely disappeared during this time. If Taysom Hill is the starter and this is the type of upside we're going to see from him, the guy's not a top 5 pick. The thing that makes Alvin Kamara a top fantasy commodity is his ability to make such an impact on the ground and through the air. And if he's not making an impact through the air, I mean, Derrick Henry doesn't make an impact through the air. I'll take Derrick Henry. If we're only talking about running, if we're only talking about our stats on the ground, I'll take I'll take Derrick Henry over Alvin Kamara 10 out of 10 times. And he'll be cheaper on draft day too. That's an issue. And that's why Jameis Winston coming back is really good news for everybody, because Jameis Winston needs to be out there. He needs to be the guy. He is who we want at quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, because he is going to present everybody on that team with the most upside. As a fantasy owner, are you going to want to have him on your team? Probably not. I don't. If you're in a super flex league, yeah, maybe like a late round stash. I'm good with that. I've got no issues with it. But he's going to be a headache. He's going to throw a lot of interceptions, but he's going to do like he did with Chris Godwin, like he did with O.J. Howard, like he did with Mike Evans. Well, when O.J. Howard was healthy, he's going to get the ball to his receiving weapons, and they're going to have big seasons. So, Jameis Winston returning to New Orleans on a 1-year deal. Hopefully he can beat Taysom Hill out for that starting job. What about the man, the myth, the legend known as Ryan Fitzmagic? Oh, who doesn't love a little Ryan Fitzmagic? Look, I couldn't even use his real name in the slide. I had to use Fitzmagic. Okay, that's how much we love this guy around here. 1 year, $10 million. Up to $12 million with incentives. It sounds like he's going to be battling with Tyler Heineke for the starting job there. Kyle Allen's still there as well. He's going to come in and be that starter. Now, can Washington still use a draft pick on a quarterback? Yeah, they could. They could. And it'd probably be a lot like last year, where you see Ryan Fitzpatrick really is the main guy. Then at some point, Tua will come in, and, like he did last year, whoever the rookie is will come in this year. I'm not worried about Tyler Heineke or Kyle Allen. If they don't draft a quarterback, Ryan Fitzmagic, give me him all season long. And really, it's the same thing as Jameis Winston. Are you going to want to own him? Are you going to want Ryan Fitzmagic on your team? If it's a super flex league, yeah, you'll take him a little bit later on. In a one quarterback league, probably not. But he's going to make the guys around him a lot better, especially Terry McLaurin. Ladies and gentlemen, if Terry McLaurin has Ryan Fitzmagic for 16 games next season, he should finish as a wide receiver 1. He will be inside the top 12 wide receivers by the end of the season. I mean, think about it. While in all of his stops, everywhere that Ryan Fitzmagic has been, he has made somebody fantasy relevant at the wide receiver position. I mean, most recently, Devontae Parker, right? Yeah, absolutely. When Ryan Fitzpatrick started a majority of the games in Tampa when he was there, Mike Evans had 1,500 receiving yards. That was bad. I mean, that was when he had 8 games in Tampa in 2018. He had 1,500 yards that year. I mean, it's been everywhere that he's been able to make somebody a decent fantasy target. Brandon Marshall, remember him? When Ryan Fitzmagic was back with the New York Jets, Brandon Marshall kind of had a little bit of a renaissance to his career, kind of bounced back a little bit. I mean, he had 173 targets one season. Eric Decker during that time as well. Remember Eric Decker? Now I'm going old school with a lot of you. When he played 16 games for the New York Jets back in 2015, Brandon Marshall had 173 targets, 109 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 14 touchdowns. Eric Decker had 132 targets, 80 receptions, 1,027 yards, and 12 touchdowns. Oh, man. Ryan Fitzmagic is going to make Terry McLaurin a hot wide receiver commodity this year. I'm fine with this signing from this standpoint. I am fine with it from this standpoint. I'm good. Okay, from fantasy football wise, Ryan Fitzmagic is an excellent signing for Terry McLaurin. I still expect them to potentially look at somebody in the draft. It is only a 1-year deal. I don't think they seriously consider Tyler Heineke to be their quarterback of the future. Maybe a decent backup that you can bring in. Who knows? But Ryan Fitzmagic this year is going to get Terry McLaurin back to where he's not just a safe fantasy asset, but he's one of the better fantasy assets that you can have available to you. So, again, couple of quarterback signings that really a little bit off the radar, but are going to have some impact, not necessarily for themselves, but for the players around them. So wanted to make sure that I touch base on them a little bit and get you up to speed on those. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you appreciate that content and you're new here to the Fantasy Headliners, hit that subscribe button, stick around, become a part of Headliner Nation today. Hit that like button if you appreciate the content. And as always, leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on both of these signings. Does Jameis Winston start? Does he win that job over Taysom Hill? Is Ryan Fitzpatrick going to unlock Terry McLaurin? Let me know in the comments down below. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get out of here. Hopefully we got more breaking news for you soon, because if we do, you know I'll hit you with those instant reaction videos right away. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe, stay healthy. I'll catch you on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.